Don't move to the wrong area of Tucson. In the next few minutes, I'll show you which of the different areas in Tucson fit the best lifestyle and share the #1 mistake that makes people regret their move. Stay to the end. I'll reveal one factor that will quietly wreck daily life here in the desert, even if you're in the best neighborhood. So first, we're gonna open up with talking about why do people pick the wrong area? Whether it be trail systems, commute anchors, HOAs, sun exposure, pricing, zip code, we're gonna dive into all of it. But here's a few bullet points we're gonna make sure we cover. First off, everyday errands, distance to places like grocery store, your gym, favorite coffee shops, things to do with the kids, outings, that sort of things. You need to make sure that your commute is properly identified, especially if you're not from Tucson and you're getting acclimated. Seriously, we're gonna dive into each of these in more detail, but this is the #1 mistake that I see buyers make. Next is fiber versus cable internet access. There are certain areas where this is more prevalent than others, but specifically if you're a remote worker, make sure you check this out. Next is noise, whether it be from major roadways, trains, or the two large airports that we have here, both the Air Force Base Davis-Monthan as well as Tucson International Airport. Future land use is another critical one that you're going to want to make sure about, because even though something is undeveloped right now and it's a beautiful desert landscape that is serene, doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to be that way. So you want to make sure that you're asking the right questions when you still have time to. And lastly, you've got special fees due to HOAs or assessments. This is something that can be identified early, but it can make a big impact down the line if you miss it. By the way, I'm Rich and my family's lived in Tucson for over 150 years. If you want to know everything about lifestyle, real estate, and new builds in Tucson and the greater Tucson area, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap the bell for notifications so that you don't miss an update. Now, next up, we're going to break down the Tucson map into 5 different archetypes. Now, we'll go deeper in each of these over the next section, but this is really going to be your 40,000-foot view way up in the air so that we can get an overall glimpse at what we're talking about. First up is the northwest part of Tucson. This includes Dove Mountain, Oro Valley, Rancho Vistoso, parts of Marana, including Gladden Farms as well. Now, this is critical. This is a great area for outdoor lovers, cyclists, golfers, and it offers a lot of quiet suburbs. Now, some unique things about this area: there is a higher elevation, which equals slightly cooler evenings in specific areas of northwest Tucson. It also has excellent access to the Loop, which is great for outdoor cyclists, runners, joggers, you name it. And it has access through the CDO wash. It also supports strong youth sports infrastructure through amphitheater and Marana school districts. Something to keep in mind is the cross-town drives if you do have commute anchors elsewhere to pay attention to. Next up is northeast. This is going to include Sabino Canyon, Tanca Verde, Bear Canyon. There really is so much outdoor activity in Tucson. So again, great for hikers, incredible scenic views. You are going to have larger lots, more estate style lots, and you're going to have a lot more of an emphasis on equestrian activities and equestrian trails. So there's a lot of pockets that support equestrian activity. You've got great access to Sabino and Bear Canyon trailheads, some of the most popular trailheads in southern Arizona. There's fewer tracked new builds. Some of the homes are on well and septic, and especially on the fringe of that area, but there's beautiful stargazing and darker skies at night. Keep in mind, these homes can be older, so be sure to budget for updates. Next is going to be east and southeast. That's going to include Vail, Rita Ranch, Rocking Cay, Savano, and Sierra Morado. These are newer build areas. There's a lot of value per square foot in these areas, strong school districts, especially in Vail. With quick access to I-10 East, newer shopping along the Houghton corridor, convenient commute to Raytheon, Davis-Monthan. It's great for new build buyers and people who really like planned communities. Something to keep in mind is this is a growth corridor, so track the future phases, know what is in store for the future, and verify the flight path since you are close to Davis-Monthan and Tucson International Airport. Next is central downtown area. This includes Armory Park, historic area, same as West University, Menlo Park in the Mercado district. This area benefits from walkability at its best. Gastronomy scene is off the hook. There is so much to check out. So many delicious places to eat, coffee shops, bakeries, lots and lots of fun stuff to do. Streetcar access is easy, and you do have access to the loop as well for any of you that are really big on cycling or running. Now, much of this area is in a historic overlay that can affect renovations. There tends to be a premium per square foot price on many of the historic neighborhoods, but nightlife and events is at an all-time high. The energy and the noise, it's hard not to feel that the vibe of downtown Tucson and what that central part of Tucson really brings to life. Parking varies by street, so be on the lookout for that. There are great short-term rental and investment potential depending on where it's permitted and if it's in an HOA. Now, because downtown and central is inundated with so much older homes, something to make sure you pay attention to is these sewer lines. A lot of times you're going to get the old cast iron or even clay pipes, and that because of that, you want to make sure you get a qualified professional to scope the entire sewer line and verify that it is still intact and ready to perform. Now, last but not least is the southwest and west area. This includes Star Valley, Valencia Crossing, Midvale Park area. This is great for entry-level to mid-range new builds with stunning mountain sunset and views. Because of its location, you've got easy airport access, I-19 corridor to downtown or University of Arizona. It is improving its retail along Valencia, so it provides a good value. Many of these new builds are going to be in an HOA, so make sure you verify with the HOA any rules or restrictions that might limit what your plan for the property is, and also do some research on the planned commercial development that is in that area as well. Something to keep in mind is this area being a little bit more removed from a lot of the other commute anchors. Commutes to east or northeast can be long, so make sure you drive it. All right, so in the next 60 seconds, I'm going to share with you 3 of the ways buyers can end up buying in the wrong area the fastest. Before that, I wanted to remind you, for those of you who don't know, I've worked professionally in real estate, both as a certified real estate appraiser and a licensed realtor for over 15 years. And in that time, I've helped a couple thousand people just like you relocate, buy, sell, and even invest in Tucson. So if you're looking for a local expert, somebody to really be a guide and show you the nuances of the Tucson market, feel free to grab my contact information down below in the description or on screen. You can call, text, email, or schedule a free Zoom consult. All right, so the number one fastest way to pick the wrong area is to chase the lowest price. Now, this might sound intuitive, but let me explain a little bit. Oftentimes, when you win on price, you lose in fit. Now, it's a balancing act. That's not to say that every time you get a deal or a price on a property that you really are happy with, that you're going to be sacrificing. But oftentimes, if there's too much of an emphasis on price and someone is very, very, very price sensitive, that leads to further problems down the line. And ultimately, it's one of the main reasons why we end up getting calls from clients a year, 2 years, 3 years later and saying, hey, Rich, our situation has changed. Got to be closer to work. You know, family wants to get out of move to a different area. Whatever the case may be, this is definitely something that's easily prevented. And with a quick conversation, we can explore different options and compare side by side. Next up is ignoring the commute. Really having an idea short term as of right now, but also long term over the next 5 to 7 years where you might be commuting, if it's a different school that your kids are going to be going to, or if it's a different job that you're likely to get, or if it's in-laws or, you know, anything like that, any family members that you might need to accommodate spending more time with as they maybe age, or you need to be a little bit more accessible to them. Planning this out short term and long term is going to help you identify what potential commutes you need to account for in the equation. And another easy one to get right if you do this step proactively. And number 3 is assuming north is best. Yes, the Catalina Foothills area is gorgeous, but it's not for everyone. Because most of the homes in the Catalina Foothills area are older, it does come with some extra maintenance and some extra things that you need to consider in the equation of home ownership. In addition to that, it is a premium area. Demand remains high historically, and because of that, you need to be prepared to pay a premium price. Also, with much of the topography being hilly or on a mountain or hillside, sometimes can be some additional maintenance and some additional costs associated with water runoff, retaining walls, and just hillside maintenance of a property. All right, so now we've got an overview of what we're going to dive deeper in, and now we get to dive deeper. So those 5 archetypes that I mentioned before, the 5 different areas, let's dive into them. So first up, Northwest, Dove Mountain, Oro Valley, Vistoso area, Marana. Let's talk about the pros. The pros are going to be the Tortolita Mountains, the Catalina State Park. You're going to get the backside of the Santa Catalina Mountains, which honestly, the Santa Catalina Mountains are the biggest mountains mountain range are in the Tucson area. And so they're the biggest, most robust, and because of that, they're hard to miss. The front side is usually from central Tucson, the back side is northwest Tucson, and arguably the back side of that mountain range is epic. A big pro is having quick and easy access to the loop. Seriously, if you're a runner like I am, it is incredible to have a dedicated, paved, nice running path that gets you off of the road, gets you away from traffic. You still get all the scenic scenery, and it's also, the loop has many water stations and bathrooms positioned along the path. So if you're going on an extended run, if you're a cyclist, you want to put down some serious miles, or if you just want to walk and you want the convenience of getting out of traffic, getting off of sidewalks and feeling a little bit of what the desert serene lifestyle has to offer, the loop is a big deal. Now, you've got a lot of different resorts in this area, including the Ritz-Carlton, the Gallery, both of those in Dove Mountain, Omni Tucson National Golf Course. You're just inundated with lots and lots of different golf courses, country clubs, and resorts. Because of the elevation in some of these areas being a little bit higher than other areas in Tucson, you will experience a little bit of a cooler microclimate, which those extra couple degrees make it even more enjoyable. And for those outdoor folks, this has such a strong trail culture, whether it be mountain biking, hiking, trail running, or just exploring the desert. There is so much to love about being in that northwest corridor next to the Tortolina Mountain Range and the Santa Catalina Mountains. Now, of course, the good is great, right? But let's talk about the cons. Cross-town trips can take some time. Because of the way our interstate system is designed, northwest Tucson, especially Oro Valley and parts of eastern Marana, man, there's really no easy way to get from where you live to I-10. Unless you're a little bit further east in northwest, in that northwest corridor, there really is, it's a commute straight through town. You're talking lots of traffic, lots of stoplights, and that can add for a little bit longer commute. Now, another factor to consider is there are a lot of HOAs and the rules and regulations differ. Far and wide, HOAs here in Tucson are much different than other areas, and I'm going to dive into that a little bit later, to other states that you might be located in currently. So HOAs are not created equal. The HOAs here in Tucson do a really good job of serving as a way to protect the appeal of the neighborhood and not be overreaching. But it is something to pay attention to, and because of that, I encourage you to read the CC&Rs about the covenants, conditions, and restrictions of the actual neighborhood and HOA. Now, I mentioned this before, because of the topography of the northwest area, you may end up with some hilly areas that have some drainage or garage angles that are a little bit tricky. Now, if you're watching this and you're wondering who should avoid this area, if you're seeking nightlife, this is probably not the area for you. If you're seeking the hustle bustle, if you like crowds of people, if you like being able to take off and go to events, then this is probably not as much of an area for you. Next up, we're going to talk about the northeast corridor. This is Sabino Canyon, Tanque Verde area, Bear Canyon area. First, talk about what's so great about it. It is iconic, the Sabino Canyon area, some of the greatest hiking trails in southern Arizona. You got larger horse property lots, estate-sized lots, very quiet desert scenic living, and you've got incredible big sky views with a lot of openness because of its rural suburban feel. When you compare the northeast area to other areas like northwest, you will typically see in many of the areas a little bit more of affordability in that area. So that, again, is a positive. Now, some of the cons, you are going to have some older homes, some aging infrastructure in some of the homes. You also have some limited commercial and big box retail in that area. So you do have a bit of a commute just to get to some of those commercial amenities that we've become so accustomed to. Also, if you like walking, if you're used to having sidewalks and walking paths, it can be very spotty depending on the area and the neighborhood on where those sidewalks are and whether you're in an area where you're going to be walking, on a sidewalk, or maybe you're just going to be walking alongside a road. Who should avoid these areas? Well, buyers wanting all new builds, because there isn't a whole lot of new build activity in the northeast part of town. Or if you're a buyer that is really seeking quick freeway access, maybe you have a commute up north to Casa Grande or Phoenix, or maybe you have family up there, or whether you're looking to commute elsewhere in the southern Arizona area, this is going to be one of the least convenient options to I-10. Next, let's talk about east and the southeast area. This is Vail, Vail, Rita Ranch, Rocking Cay, Savano, Sierra Morado. Some of the pros are there's lots of newer homes to choose from, and the schools are some of the best rated schools. There's lots and lots and lots of amenities to do. So if you've got little ones, even if they're not little anymore, but you're looking for outdoor activities and family amenities, this is a great amenity rich area. Your value per square foot is very, very high in this area as well. And the Houghton corridor is expanding, lots of retail going in there, which means that future conveniences are only going to be more convenient. Now, some of the cons are flight path pockets. Because it is situated right next to Davis-Monthan, that's really the noisiest air base that you need to be paying attention to. Tucson International, unless you're really close to it, much of those jets are going much higher, those commercial jets. Davis-Monthan, those are much more low flying jets. The F-16s, you know, when we get them in town or we get some of the other flight squadrons in town, they make quite a bit of noise. And so you're going to hear them for sure. If you like that sound, great. It's probably a perfect area, and this is not going to be so much of a con, but for those of you where that sound may not be as appealing, it's something to consider. Now, because Vail isn't quite as established as other areas in Tucson, they do have a lot of the conveniences and amenities that you would really need, and you are pretty close to the I-10 corridor, so the commute to other places like Costco, Dave & Buster's, you know, even downtown Tucson isn't going to be terrible, but it is a little bit more removed, so it's something to pay attention to in terms of where you need to commute and specific commute anchors that you need to account for. Next up, one of my favorite areas, central and downtown area. This includes Armory Park, Sam Hughes, West University, Menlo, and the Mercado area. The pros of this area are it's very walkable. The food culture is at an all-time high. If you're looking for that uniqueness that Tucson brings, the vibe, the live music, the history, the culture, the food. If you're looking for all of that influence and you want to be inundated, then this is really, really unique and incredible. It does have easy access to the loop. If you're looking to hop on a skateboard, jump on a bike, or just put on some shoes and run through some really historic areas and check out some of the scenery, there really is so much to explore in this area. I've lived in this area for many years, and I live in Sam Hughes, and it's been so nice as somebody who likes to go for runs and bike rides to be able to have different neighborhoods, the University of Arizona campus, historic 4th Avenue, just a stone's throw away, and even downtown Tucson that is a quick commute for, you know, a date night, a nice dinner, maybe even an event. I think one of the most underrated pros about this area is that there is so much uniqueness in terms of the style of home. Not only the age, because it does vary widely. The majority of the homes are historic, I would say 70 to 120 years old, but the style of each of these historic homes can be vastly different. And because of that, it really it makes the neighborhoods very cool to walk through, bike through, drive through, and just check out. Now, some of the cons is because it is relatively high demand and historically high demand, there is a premium price per square foot. Also, you're going to get a mixed use and a mixed property type from block to block. So you might be in a small pocket of single family homes, and then you'll have a pocket of maybe new builds, or you'll have a pocket of small bungalow homes, and then you'll have a pocket of much larger homes on small lots next to homes on big lots. And so there really is it's a mix up of a mashup of a whole bunch of different property types, characteristics of properties all kind of mashed together. Another con is street parking can be limited, and in certain areas there is permits that are required to park on the street as well. So parking on site or parking on the street, those can be some big advantages or disadvantages to pay attention to. Now, generally, who should avoid these areas? If you're looking for and wanting more of a modern layout, then generally this is going to be really tough, because it's really a hodgepodge of older historic homes that have maybe been updated, but most of them have not been completely updated from a floor plan perspective. Most of the time it's been a finish. The finishes of the interior, exterior have been updated, such as windows, cabinets, countertops, floors, lighting, and plumbing fixtures. But oftentimes we're not seeing that the entire layout has been gutted. Walls and structural components have been moved to modernize the layout. So if that's what you're looking for, something very open, something very modern in terms of a layout, then this is probably going to be a challenging area for you. Also, if you're looking for a garage, specifically a big garage, because most of these areas, it's rare that you'll find a garage, and if you do, it's definitely not going to be large. That kind of coincides with the space in your backyard. If you're looking for a large yard, then this is going to be a really difficult area for you to identify that, because many of the lots are much smaller. You've got small side yards. Most of the times you're going to even have a small backyard as well. Next up, we've got Southwest and West. This includes Star Valley, Valencia Crossing, Midvale Park. Some of the pros are this is an incredible area for entry and mid-level pricing. Now, because that affordability is high, pairing that with the fact that you get so many amenities for that affordability, I think makes it a really, really strong option, and why a lot of people are choosing that area. With a quick access to I-19, which is a north-south corridor, main highway access, you've got easy airport access, and you've got easy access to I-10, which really gives you an easier commute to so much more that Tucson has to offer. Also, as I've mentioned, there are quite a few mountain ranges surrounding Tucson, and if you are looking and considering Southwest or West, you're going to be very happy with the mountains out there. You have some incredible big mountains and big sunsets to go along with. If you're not familiar with a sunset in Tucson, then be prepared for bursts of orange and yellow and pink through the sky, because our sunsets are, I mean, they've got to be some of the most unique sunsets I've ever seen. It's something that as a local, you become accustomed to it, and you kind of start almost losing your appreciation for it until you go somewhere else where you experience a different sunset, and you're like, wait a minute, this is not even on the same level as the sunsets in Tucson. So if you're looking for big, amazing sunsets, this is an area to keep at the top of the list. Now, some of the cons, if you're planning on commuting to the east side, for instance, if you're looking at Vail or that Sabino Canyon area, this is going to be the complete opposite end of the Tucson and greater Tucson area. So commutes to those areas are going to be very difficult and a pain in the butt from this particular area. There is, with so much construction going on in this area, both residential and commercial, there's also oftentimes road traffic that's happening. So we are getting a lot more congestion as different phases of this commercial and infrastructure build out continue in this area. Now, who shouldn't buy in this area? Really, if you're looking for more of an urban feel, if you prioritize mature landscaping and mature neighborhoods in terms of how long they've been around, very well established neighborhoods, this might not be the ideal place for you to consider. Now, if you want a custom neighborhood match, all you have to do is shoot me an email or a text. You can grab my contact information out of the description below or on screen here. Whether you're looking for a custom neighborhood search for HOAs that fit, pricing that fits, neighborhoods that have walkability, does not matter. Whatever your vibe is, feel free to grab my contact information, and I'm happy to reply with a custom list that fits exactly what you're looking for. That way it takes hours off of your search and consideration. Now, as we close out here, I want to deliver one more thing that I think is critical. I want to talk with you a little bit about some of the biggest misconceptions about Tucson, with helping so many people relocate to Tucson from all over the place, many of which are from California and Florida. I want to iron out just a couple of the misconceptions that I hear over and over again so that I can clear the air and help you. First one is having a fear of an HOA. There are several communities in the suburban areas, primarily in suburbs around Tucson, that have HOAs. And if you're moving from places like California or Florida and you have some apprehensiveness around HOAs, I totally get it. Myself and our team, we work with a lot of people just like you. And so if you're in an area where you're moving from a place where HOAs are restrictive, overbearing even, then I want to make sure that this fear is eliminated, because Tucson, although they do have HOAs, there is very, very few HOAs that are overbearing. In fact, it's not even a word that I'm familiar with when I talk with people who have lived here for a very long time in HOAs. I don't have any big horror stories. Of course, there's some issues occasionally with an HOA around an assessment or something like that, but they're very few and far between. Overall, HOAs do a really, really great job here of maintaining the appeal of a neighborhood, maintaining the upkeep and maintenance of a neighborhood, and protecting homeowners and their values, and not overstepping and overreaching. Next up, I want to address walkability concerns. There are certainly areas in Tucson that have very, very high levels of walkability, but overall, Tucson is a very car-centric area. So if you pick an area outside of central and downtown, then you need to be prepared that a walk isn't necessarily going to be super convenient for everything that you want to do. You're gonna want to plan to be driving to many of the things outside of your home that you're interested in. Last up, not all new builds are created equal. Yes, everything might be new and you might be thinking that the square footage is similar and it's in a similar area to another house that you like, but not all new builds are created equal. From the floor plans, the design, to the construction process and the hands that have actually built the house, there can be some nuances that you definitely want to pay attention to. Builder quality and lot selection really, really matter. So paying attention to things like power lines, flooding potential, flight paths, these are just some of the things that you really want to consider in terms of lot location alongside build quality. In a minute, I'll show you the number one factor that is oftentimes overlooked that can make a huge difference in your enjoyment of daily life here in the desert, even if you're in the most amazing neighborhood. But first, let's go down the deal breaker checklist and just make sure we're retouching on everything that we've covered so far. So first up is you got to know your commute anchors. Places like Raytheon, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, University of Arizona, Banner Hospital, Amazon, the airport, Tucson International. Second, you want to pay attention to noise, major roads, train lines, flight paths. Next, pay attention to flood maps, wash adjacency, and specific flood zoning that you need to pay attention to as well. Next, future development, having an idea of what is going to be built in the near future based on where you're going to buy. So now the number one overlooked factor, let's talk about it. It's sun orientation. What do I mean by sun orientation? Well, in Tucson, we get a lot of sun. It's part of the reason why so many people choose to relocate to Tucson and why so many people stay in Tucson once they are here. Now, that beautiful sun that you're collecting can be a double-edged sword because in the heat of summer, those west-facing backyards can mean that you are getting way more sun and patios can be absolutely unbearable. Having some sort of shade throughout the day, especially as the sun is setting, is absolutely critical to enjoying daily life outside your home, in your backyard, front yard, but also inside your home, because it can mean that sunbeams are coming through your house. Glass windows are creating a lot of heat, especially in some of the older homes in Tucson that have very little insulation. They're just built different back then. The insulating factor back then is much different than it is today. And when you have a west-facing backyard, even in the most efficient homes today, you will feel a difference in that portion of the house where the sun is setting on and sun is just beaming through and beating against the side of that house and the windows. Now, if outdoor living matters to you at all, try to prioritize north or east facing lots and consider adding shade structures where you can. To wrap up here, I'm going to give you a quick right fit guide based on the areas and the criteria that we covered. If you're looking for outdoor quiet, Dove Mountain, Oro Valley, and Vail on the fringe of Vail are areas you want to pay attention to, along with the Tanque Verde Valley. If you're looking for the best schools and a lot of new build options, then you can consider Vail, the Rita Ranch, Rocking K area, and Gladden Farms in Northwest Tucson for value. If you want walkability and exposure to all of the best Tucson culture, then consider places like Armory Park, West University, and the Mercado District, as well as Sam Hughes. And if you're looking to have affordability at the all-time high and you want views, consider Star Valley, Valencia Crossing, and even Midvale Park. Comment with your budget and your commute, and I'll respond with the top 3 areas that best fit those 2 things. If you're relocating or buying a second home, don't guess. Let's get really clear on exactly what's going to fit your best criteria and make that process smooth. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching today, and until next time, I hope to see you around the neighborhood.